All right, what's up, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to generate money from the contracts that you just have sitting on MLS, sitting in escrow that are not selling. Just recently, I helped one of our partner program guys go from 27K in his closing pipeline for the next 30 days, which is way low for him, all the way to 98K just by implementing these things that I'm going to be talking to you in this video. And it doesn't just work if you're doing innovations. It doesn't just work if you're doing cash. It works no matter what, because what I'm going to be talking to you about is the asset management and the pipeline management process on how to actually produce revenue from deals that maybe shouldn't be deals, or just when the market changes. And so I'm going to start this off with a story. The way I learned this process is in 2022 in July, the market shifted pretty heavily. If you're in the game, then you understood that most markets like Atlanta, Dallas, Phoenix, and some other places dropped 15, 20% overnight for as values of homes. And so we had about $1 million worth of agreements that were in escrow that we would have made money on over the next 60 days. So put that in perspective, that's $1 million. Our burn rate was about 250K a month. So yes, we were going to make great money. However, we have a lot of risks that we're carrying in the business. And when the market shifted and the market went down, we lost all of that profit and it went to zero or even negative if we were to do the deals at the current contract price we had them at. But we had to make a shift because we had to put up 500K just to break even in those 2 months. And so I'm going to talk to you about that same exact process that allowed us to go from deals just sitting in the market, buyers just disappearing, us being like, oh, we're going to be we're going to be in deep water here if we don't figure this out, to figuring it out, bringing the boat back to profitable and getting that bad inventory off the shelves, and then reteaching the acquisitions team and ourselves how to lock up deals that are going to sell in this market today. So the current issues that you probably have in your business is the market shifted. It's just kind of going like this. Buyers are out and deals are sitting, specifically innovations. There's less cash buyers and everything's just taking longer to sell with more effort. Buyers aren't just throwing offers at you. If they do, they're really low. And I've seen this a lot, is people backing out like right at the closing table. Cash buyers, investors. Just right now, we're dealing with a deal in Florida that was like an 80K profit. Buyer backed out, held us in a month of, kind of like a litigation type of deal because they wouldn't send a cancellation. Anyways, we just ended up having to release their EMD so we could not have to go through months of headache and get this thing closed out. We actually had to close the seller out. We're only ended up making probably like 30K now on the deal. So just by this situation cost us 50 grand on one single deal. But here's what we're doing to kind of turn it around. So number one, the team is in deal maker mode. So what is deal maker mode? Deal maker mode is we look at all of the properties that we have under contract, our entire pipeline, and we're going to determine which ones can we make money on, right? Which ones are the sellers lenient on? Like, we have a good relationship, they're workable, and which ones like are actually properties that people will definitely buy. We just got to get them in there to the right price. That's what we're focused on. And so, for example, I did this with one of our partners, our portfolio companies, and he had about 16 or 17 contracts in escrow, and they were all sitting. We were like, what the heck? We identified about 7 that we could actually go and put something together on. And so from those, the plan was, hey, you have these properties listed, or maybe you've marketed off market, some of the mixture of both. Take all the people who have been interested in these properties, and I want you to call every single one of them. He had a Dispo guy doing it. And an agent on his listings, which I'll talk about that in a minute, but should not be doing that. And we got to be very particular on that. But he called every single one of those people. He basically said, hey, sellers looking to get rid of this thing quick. If you're looking to come in and, your buyer's looking to come in and get something that has instant equity, or to a flipper, obviously you're talking their lingo, right? So I'm talking to a retail person right now. You're looking to come in and get instant equity. And you're looking for a good deal. I'm not saying you're going to steal this thing. But I am going to say you're going to be able to buy this with instant equity. And the seller is very negotiable once you get this done quick. So if you can, do you think your buyer would be interested in making an offer where they're just going to immediately have equity in the deal and it's just like a slam dunk for them? And what we were able to do is drum up some actual offers, written offers. And so by doing that, we go back and collect a couple deals. We sold 4 deals and made $73,000. That's going to close in the next 30 days, roughly. Some of it's obviously an innovation deal, so we might have a deal fall out, but most of it's hard EMD, and we did that in 10 days, just by going to do this simple process, right? So if you already have deals that are sitting, you need to go and make them together. Other piece that we had to do that sometimes the offers came back a little bit lower. So what do you have to do in that case? Well, you have to go and work the retrade with the seller. And so there's really two main elements right now that are like as the market's going down and we're having to figure out how to make the middle. We have to have two different skills that we might not have built to this point. Number one is going to be to get the buyer demand up and manufacture a bid up system, right? And so what I mean by that is like if you can get 3, 4, 5 people making offers, then at that point you can now actually get a reasonable offer, even if they start really low. And so what I mean is like if someone's willing to offer to buy the house, put it in paper, put the EMD down, do everything, even if it's 20K less than what I'm asking for, I want them to write the offer because it's worth it for me. And then what I'm going to do is then I'm going to basically be able to negotiate them up now that they're on the dance floor. Maybe it's not going to be all the way to asking, but maybe it's $5, $10, $15,000. And that's a huge lift because we can just take that back to the seller if we need to, or worst case scenario, we keep the business cash flowing and we keep deals closing. Because the worst thing that can happen right now is you just close no deals for a month, right? You close no deals for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. That's going to cripple you as we go into the winter. And so right now it's more important than ever to be putting deals together to make sure that they close. So once we do that, we get the offers. We're obviously going to do our best to negotiate them up, which is what we help our clients with, help our partner program with. But we just are going to make sure that we're countering every offer and we're framing their being demand no matter what with this property. Whether that's, hey, we have someone else going out tomorrow. Just want to let you know that, that's just from your perspective, they're very interested. I told them the asking price. They're very interested in that and told them all the terms that we already talked about. Just want to let you know that. So, when you guys do write your offer, just keep that in mind. Or when they write the offer, coming back to them with what the seller said. So when someone writes an offer, obviously that's not their best price 95% of the time if they like the property, right? So, 5K is like a note, like you should be able to get 5K pretty much every time. 10K is where it starts to get a little bit iffy. But to people who are using financing specifically, it's way, way easier with the retail side. Now on the cash side is a little bit more difficult because right now flippers are, they're a little finicky. They're worried they got a lot of inventory that's just sitting on the market. And so we need to do a very good job of making them feel very confident in these deals. And so what confidence looks like is like having an inspection report done for all your wholesales, making sure that you're talking to them about how they actually feel about this deal. Not just like, hey, sign the paperwork, move on. It's like, hey man, like I know like we've talked to numbers, but like you install the property, like how do you actually feel about it like that? What's your confidence level? And then like if they're high, like cool, like what do you love about double down on it? If they don't, like what do you unsure about, right? Okay, let's talk about it. And then you can walk them off the cliff. Like, for example, like I'll even just give an example for myself. And like, I know this is the case, right? It's like I was investing in a multifamily deal. Taxes are due in like 15 days if you did an extension or whatever. I mean, so like, I just knew I just had a bunch of cash flying out of my account and I was like a little bit worried. And my buddy, who's, I trust a lot, I've invested with before. He's a great investor. I was like, just calling him, I'm like, bro, I just need you to tell me to do this basically. Like, I don't want to have cold feet. Just tell me to wire the money. And he did, went through whatever. It's all fine. No worries. However, that's what people need right now is they need that like little kick in the butt from people that they trust. And so you have to build that trust with buyers to get them to the finish line, to let them know that this is a good idea. And they also have to trust you, so you have to provide them the ultimate clarity and the resources needed to be able to actually know if they're making a good investment or not. So very, very important right there. The other side, on the seller side, how are we going to put these deals together with sellers? Well, you have to work a retrade process. So if you haven't talked to a seller in 30 days, like fix your Dispo process, talk to them minimum every week. The way that we talk to sellers is we talk to them every time there's an interaction with the property. So when we go get pictures, we let them know what we saw, ask any questions about the condition that they maybe didn't tell us or whatever. Anytime someone goes out to the property, we're going to let them know what happened, good news, bad news, what that means for them and their situation, always keeping it positive about getting to the closing table. And we're going to do that every time. And so if you're following that process, which if you aren't, start implementing it right now. But if you are, then people are going to work with you, right? They want to get this thing to the closing table. They want to get this thing done and they're going to do it for the price that it needs to be done. And so you should be getting about 80% of people saying yes to a reasonable price reduction. Obviously, if you lock it up and you have to reduce someone 20, 30K, they're going to be pretty upset with you. You should lock it up better on the front end. My point is that's going to be the tier 2 where we have to go in and fix our actual acquisition process. So deal maker mode, get the offers in the door, work them up as much as you can, and then work the reach A. And then that will be what gets you through at least to break even or a little profitable through this next couple month period as the market's changing. And if you don't have that going into the winter, you're going to really struggle. Number two is we need to learn from every deal. That obviously is a basic fundamental thing, but it's not as simple as what everyone thinks. So the way, when I say learn from every deal, here's what I mean. So one, I read a target profit for every single deal. So I'm at 25K, 30K, 40K, 10K, whatever it is. I'm putting that number in there because that's the number that I believe with what information I have, how much we're going to make, right? So we do acquisition target profit and we do dispo target profit. The difference is acquisitions, if you're locking deals up virtually, obviously you haven't seen it if you're doing it virtual. So that's that first one. The second one, the dispo, after you see pictures, right? So once we have limited information, we have a target profit. Once we have more information, we have target profit. Those are the two most important ones. And you're just going to compare your actual performance to that. So when you actually close, let's say you thought you're gonna make 20, you made 10. Okay, what happened? Why did you make 10? And how do I make 20 next time? And that could be because you didn't negotiate well with the buyers. Even just 3K with the buyers is big, even just a couple K. The seller is huge. That gets you up to 15,000. If you got two or 3K from each side, it's an extra $5,000 per deal. And so that goes a long ways. And so you have to be very, very, very stringent right now to make sure that deals getting closed, you're looking and chasing every dollar that you can, and your team does the same thing. If you don't do that, you're definitely going to get your spread just compressed and compressed and compressed. But what that usually leads to is more education and sales training on the front end. Because right now, the market's doing this, so each month it's going down a couple percent. The deals that are selling for less. And sellers obviously still think that the market's better. And the market's going down, there's always going to be a little bit of a mismatch. And so my point is you need to educate the sellers so that you can lock up better deals. And what's going to also happen is if you do a good job setting expectations, you're going to get deals that come back to you because other people backed out and couldn't perform. And so it's very important if you have a deal with competition that you're letting them know what the competition is going to do. You're following up with them consistently. And that because, in the first week or two, for them being in a contract with another person, they're going to know if this is going to close if you do the right job on your end of letting them know what's going to happen and that person's good. All the things I mentioned, talking to them, getting the process started frequently and quickly, etc. Time is going to kill any deal right now. And so if you're not setting the expectation with sellers to get into the property right away, look, timeline for the deal is very important right now. So timeline from contract to property listed is 4 days for us. Maximum it's 5. Literally from the time we get the contract signed to when the property is being marketed, it's not going to be more than 5 days. If it is, then we mess something up majorly. There's obviously outliers, right? We got a couple. That's why I say median. So most, 70, 80% of deals are going to be 5 days or less. And then most deals, the median is 15 days on the MLS from listing to sold. And then most deals off market is less than 7. And so that's going to give you the time and the speed to get these things done quickly so they actually close, right? And so you can still give good service to the seller. What I see is, right now is like a lot of people, there's still like a lot of walkthroughs. Like there's definitely still buyers out in the market. And like we have a deal right now that just got like consistent buyers. But the Dispo team is like, oh, like we can get a higher offer, I was like, look, let's just take the offer we have and just get it to the closing table. Because if we just, like, as we keep stringing these on, our buyer pool just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and the property's on the market, we're just going to have to negotiate and lose profit on the deal. So there's a balance between speed and maximizing. And so you just want to know, you got to make the mental decision when to draw the line. Third point is focusing on primarily on cash over novation. So we will do cash deals primarily, but that's our main priority. However, I got out of order there. We'll do novations somewhat, but we're going to be very particular on who we're working with. So the only people we're going to work with are ones who are going to be very aligned with the process and easy to work with. They're not going to be pains because right now you got to have more access than ever. So like we got to be getting the property no matter what. We can't have like certain time slots. We got to have 24 hours notice to where we can get in basically anytime we want. And ideally get on lockboxes. So it's more of a client relationship rather than a seller relationship. And then the next piece is it needs to be a deal that actually pencils and can move in a reasonable time. And so the way we're underwriting those deals is 90% of market value. We're going to then take out 25K for our fee. then we're going to take out another 15K for concessions, right? Obviously, you know, like 10, $50,000 house, 10K or 15K in concessions might be a little much. Maybe it's 7, something like that. You can adjust it based on your market, but 15K is a good benchmark because I'm seeing roughly about 2 to 3% in concessions on each deal. That's roughly what it's kind of working out to. So you want to just put that in underwriting and then take out all the other fees, commissions, closing costs, blah, 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 whatever. And so that's going to give you a good focus there. And so by doing those things, we're able to still sell deals quickly, move them, and you get deals done. Obviously, you're going to get less contracts, but your contract to close rate should be higher. So hopefully this helps, and I will see you guys in the next one.